ready? Are you 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 ready to get it? You ready for war? Live is back, are you ready for more? The waiting is over, it's time to get poppin'. We all wanna win it, just cash in the pocket. Baby alive, nothing can top it. Fantasy's back, football's the topic. 50 down for 50 in profit. Boss at the top and we all wanna drop. I'm taking the spot, bury the coffin. Time for the action, not for the talk. Time to get crackin', live is back. And speaking the facts, the champions boss is back to back. Don't have it that often, enjoy the throne. It's time to get off and welcome back. It's time to get started, time for the weak and the strong to be part. We're all in the war, fight to the finish. Mad about trades, but it's part of the business. Do what you need, it's all about winning. Try to be king on the division. Wanna be champ, that is the mission. White with the flow, this is tradition. Ready to go, time for the show. Roll your bloods, get ready to blow. Get ready to hear the good and the bad. You might not agree, but it's only on facts. If you get ugly, yeah, that means you're whack. GENO and Matt, finally we're back. Analyzing and sharing the stats, giving opinions and checking the facts. Keep it six, built to the draft. A league of 10, let's see who get last. If your team stinks, it belongs in the trash. Race to the end, try not to crash. No one agrees, all of us clash. Something like Titan, Spider gets smashed. You better contend if you wanna be champ. If you won't pay attention, you don't have a chance. No chance to win if you don't have a plan. Get a chance at the shit, better win if you can. Yeah, PPL is back, I hope you're ready. PPL is back, I hope you're ready. PPL is back, I hope you're ready. I hope you're ready.
PPL Live. Here we are, 5 weeks into the season, and no one has run away with it yet. Everybody grappling, fighting for control of the PPL. Week 5 is upon us, but you know we got to take a look back to week 4, starting with the Argonauts roaring back to life with a huge win over the Gaff Attack, 162 to 139. I Need About TREY FIDDY gets the win, makes it 3 straight, 86 to the BGT 68. The United Players, the Destroyers, pull themselves out front in the Omega Conference, put down Appease the Gods, 142 to 113, only for the boss. 3 times in 4 weeks, leaves no doubt. This time the victim, squad underestimated, put back in their place in the Alpha Conference, 187 to 147, and Patty's Twins gets back on the right track, getting a huge win over the Skulls in Omega, 125 to 107. Alrighty, PPLers, it's time to check out our final standings projection brought to you by Snickers. Starting at number 10, the Baby Gas team. At 9, despite the win, Patty's Twins. At 8, TREY FIDDY, still trying to climb to the top of the league. At 7, we've got the United Players, the Destroyers. Wow, prestige matchup, guys, hanging low in the rankings. At 6, we've got Appease the Gods. 5, we have the Gaff Attack. At 4, we got the Skulls. 1 and 3 Skulls, they need to get back on track. 3, the Argonauts, climbing back to the top half of the league with their big win. At 2, only for the boss, the PPL champions at 2, despite beating the number 1 team. Squad underestimated. All right, Ulysses, man, what do you think of fantasy trends? We're getting a little deeper in. Some teams actually dropped after wins. Some teams went up after losses. What do you think of this?
Well, I mean, generally agree with it. A lot of real shitty Omega teams at the bottom. A lot of great Alpha Conference talent at the top. So, yeah, I mean, Snickers is watching what we watch.
Okay. No, definitely. I agree with that. Alpha has gotten off to a very good start, powered by the unexpected rise of our boy TREY FIDDY, who's sitting at number 1 in Alpha for the time being. That being said, man, it's time to segue into the good, the bad, and the ugly. All right, man, you know how it is, good, bad, and ugly. I think I segue you into your good, though, man. What do you got for me?
Yeah, I mean, you said it. You could not have told me that I Need About TREY FIDDY would be sitting atop the Alpha Conference. I mean, all
right.
3-way tie 4 weeks in. I mean, this is really surprising. And like I said, I don't really like giving it this week because he didn't really perform last week, left no doubt.
Right.
This week, I mean, again, scoring 86, he's getting it done. And I mean, when you look at how he's got it done throughout the season, lowest scoring team, second lowest scoring team, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but by far, like, the lowest scored upon team. So, hey, I mean, people can hate on that all they want, but
Yeah.
hey, nobody's showing the fuck up against Trey Fiddy.
Yeah.
And again, so far, he's taken advantage of that. I mean, when you look at this week, I mean, anytime your quarterback has a negative, you were expecting to get shat on.
Right.
The fact that he got quality play out of his flex, defense, kicker, and coach, he got over 10 points in all those, and your opponent doesn't show up. I mean, again, I can't really stress this enough. It was a good week for Trey Fiddy,
Yeah.
I think, because I don't know if they maintain where they're at. I mean, we look at this scoring, it's a problem going forward.
Yeah.
But as it stands right now, hey, if playoffs started today, Trey Fiddy would be right there. And again, in fantasy, all you need is a week or two. Problem is we got quite a season ahead of us.
Right.
But right now, I need about Trey Fiddy was playing for next season, and he's outpacing a lot of guys in the league. So you know what? It's a good week, and he's playing the UP. And so in interconference play, you know, hey, you've taken out some of the big dogs in Alpha thus far. Can you take out the top rival in Omega and really, like, put a stamp on this season? We're about to find out how good it can be.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, the playoffs don't start yet, so I mean, he's still got a long way to go. He better get a bunch of those wins together, man. What do you got from your bat?
That is a piece of the gods.
Okay.
I mean, you know, Lamar put out his first dud as Lamar and company go. I mean, you just look at some of the things that were going on. I mean, Mike Evans turned in a prestige performance, but that was really about it. Nothing else on this lineup. Joe Mixon is going to be limited by how that Cincinnati offensive line struggles. They seem to be able to do one of two things: run block or protect Joe Burrow.
Right.
Trust me, Cincinnati's getting the message that they need to protect Joe Burrow. Joe Mixon is getting fed, which means he cannot leave the lineup.
Yeah.
But he's not going to get big playability and get those touches that a piece of gods needs. Jeff Wilson, again, he's filling a spot, not dynamic.
Solid but unspectacular.
Devonta dud. I mean, it was just a bad week when you look at, I mean, this was a piece of the gods' first coach win at week 4. And, man, the Vikings barely eked one out.
Yeah.
They continue to struggle to find quality coach wins. It was just a bad week. You couldn't really afford it against United players, seeded, control of the Omega Conference. And, again, too talented of a lineup to score this line. But again, looking at the bench, there was nothing a piece the gods could have done. So it was just a bad week.
No, definitely. And what's your ugly, man?
Ugly, I'm going to stay right in Omega. I mean, it's the Skulls. I mean, this team was 1-3 or 1-2 at the time, needing to bounce back, playing a winless Twins team that just has not been able to get right all season.
No, right.
And guess what? Like, they got it right. Didn't even need to start a coach. If they would have started the coach, it would have got uglier.
Right.
I'm just looking at this, and there's just a lot of inconsistency going on here. I mean, solid coach throughout the season. I think the Bills are going to be a no-brainer start.
Yeah.
But again, like, there's some guys in here that, you know, you're going to be rolling the dice, especially once bye weeks start hitting.
Yeah.
And so this was just a game he could not afford to win. Puts it in a really interesting matchup with the piece of gods this week. It's going to be really scrappy. And again, you've got two teams that are going to be hungry for wins after giving up games that they probably neither of them should have lost.
No. True that. No, the Skulls, I mean, it's getting late early. You know, I like that saying. It's getting late early for him. He was my ugly last week, and he definitely needs to find a way to bounce back. He's got all the pieces. Just got to figure out where to put those pieces and able to get the desired results. All right, man. So my good for week 4, I got to go with the United Players, the Destroyers, man. It was a very good week for them. Took control of the Omega Conference. You were talking about these guys playing spoiler sports. I think, like I said earlier on when you said that, I think somebody's going to have to try to spoil their season because they got all the right pieces. I think Tom's about to get into that part of the schedule where he's really about to take off. He's got Atlanta, Pittsburgh, and a couple of soft teams coming up over the next few weeks, and I think the United Players can definitely make some noise going into that. Derrick Henry finally looked like himself. Mike Williams got a bunch of targets with no Keenan Allen in the lineup. And then Cooper Kupp continues to be a target hog. I was surprised that 14 catches on Monday night was actually a career high for him. So it's just been nothing but good things coming out for the United Players. They're in a what's appearing to be softer Omega Conference. If that is the case, I'm really liking the UP going forward. They got, like I said, they got all the pieces in all the right places to make a very deep playoff run with all the talent they've got. My bad, and I hate to kick a man when he's down, but we know the Gaff hates three things. The Gaff hates losing. The Gaff hates losing players to injury. And the Gaff hates losing to the Argonauts. And all three of those things he accomplished this weekend. I'm looking at the Javonte Williams injury, man. Devastating injury, just because you don't have an adequate replacement for that. Khalil Herbert was not as spectacular as everyone was pumping him up to be in that matchup. Now, he had a fairly good game, but it wasn't the 30-point explosion that we had saw against Houston the week before. TJ Hawkinson was a man on fire, but once the other guys come back into the offense, you can't expect 36 from a tight end. And I mean, the only things that remains really great about the Gaff right now is that they got Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown. They've got to get their running game back under control. It's hard to give him a bad after a 139-point week, but what happened in that matchup and what they could have done if they won that matchup just spells for a bad weekend in week 4 for the Gaff. And my ugly, man, and I hate to do this, but I got to go there. My ugly baby gas team, man, they really had a very winnable game. I mean, you were singing the praises of TREY FIDDY, but I mean, he put up 86 points and would have lost if the baby gas team decided to just do anything other than what they did. I like Joe Burrow's week, but then you look on your bench, you got 36 from Jared Goff. Zeke was solid with 9 points, but then you got 33 from Josh Jacobs on your bench. And then J.K. Dobbins and Josh Jacobs were both keepers. Those are two guys I feel like you got to have in your lineup. You know they're going to get the runs. They're the primary backs in their offense. Ezekiel Elliott almost isn't anymore. I understand the James Robinson play going up against TREY FIDDY, who has a bunch of Jags. But at the end of the day, it was an ugly loss because the BGT, I felt like, really could have used this matchup to put themselves in position for a season, a better season. This kind of just throws them back, into the pit of the Alpha Conference. So they're going to have to figure out a way to get through that. That being said, it's time to get past the past and move into the present as we start in our Week 5 matchups in the PPL. As we start in the Omega Conference with a blood feud, a rivalry of all time in the PPL, as we start with Patty's Twins taking on the Gaff Attack. All right, man, so Twins, Gaff, obviously this matchup is a matchup of PPL lore. These two teams have battled and grappled for years in the PPL. Obviously, neither team wants to lose this one. Both teams at 1-3. A lot of pride on the line in this matchup. We got Austin Eckler and A.J. Dillon, CeeDee Lamb and Charles Sutton. Twins, Gaff, probably the premier Omega Conference rivalry. What do you think of this one, man?
Yeah, I mean, this one really sets up to be a really tone setter for the remainder of the season.
Right.
I mean, neither team can really afford to lose right now. Both sitting at 1-3, both sitting at 1-2 in the division.
Right.
So they really can't afford to get any farther behind with Feast the Gods and the UP currently having winning division records. But when I go into this, man, I mean, I like what the Gaff is looking at, man. This Jalen Hurts, Philly going at Arizona.
Yeah.
I think Philly shits on Arizona.
Okay.
I mean, what we've seen from Arizona is they've been slow to start and then they get going. Problem with doing that against a team like Philly won't stop. I mean, they've got a defense to complement that offense. I think that they get this game comfortably, put on a show against young quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I mean, again, A.J. Dillon's a bit of a check. I mean, that Aaron Rodgers offense, I wouldn't trust it. Twins didn't trust it. They were starting other QBs a few weeks ago.
Right.
So we'll see what they're doing. But I hate I mean, both of these teams, Javonte Williams out. Jonathan Taylor just got announced as out, and that's killer for Patty's Twins. That really could have been a position that she would have just been dominant in. Eckler finally came alive last week, but man, Cleveland's defense is for real.
Okay.
And they may make things a little bit more challenging for Mr. Eckler. Amon-Ra, I mean, again, still questionable. Hawkinson, I just like the playmaking ability of the Gaffs guys right now.
Okay.
Eagles coach, I mean, San Fran should win at Carolina, but again, you never know with that West Coast team traveling across. So
right.
I'm just going to say it right now. I think this is going to be a really competitive matchup. I think that the Twins are going to have to play the coach, but I just like the Gaff and the squeaker here. I've got him going 127 to Patty's Twins 123.
All right, man. No, I agree that it's going to be a close one, but I'm going to go the other way. I do like the Gaffs matchups. I like Jalen Hurts because he didn't play. Not that he played bad last week, but he didn't play, a Jalen Hurts game where he's, putting up 25 to 30 points. He was only about 13, 14 last week. So I do like him for a big bounce back game. Where I'm kind of concerned about the Gaff is at the repeat performances for some guys. A lot of guys blew up last week. Sometimes you get the next week and there's a letdown, and I think that is a possibility on the Gaff's part. I do love Buffalo defense against Pittsburgh. They're starting a rookie quarterback who looked a little deer in the headlights at times against the Jets. I like Philly head coach, but I will say this about Philly head coach. And we talked about this weeks before. Arizona can win that game. Arizona's 2-2. They're not the worst team in the league or anything like that. So it's not an unwinnable game. It is on the road. So, I mean, the Gaff might want to diversify the lineup at the coach spot. But other than that, his lineup is solid. Now, when I look at Patty's Twins, there was something that happened last week that I gotta applaud Patty's Twins on, and that was the drafting of Dameon Pierce. Mr. Pierce showed up and showed out against those LA Chargers, had a huge 70-plus yard run. Those are gold in the PPL whenever a player can hit that 50-yard bonus. Mr. Pierce did that. He had 25.9 against the Chargers, and I like that trend to continue on the road against Jacksonville. They're not very good against the run. See what Miles Sanders did last week, and that was part of the reason why Jalen Hurts didn't need to do much, was because the running game was so effective. I really like Dameon Pierce in that start. Now, the Twins did go Jacksonville defense, and I think that their defense can get at the quarterback. So I think the running back position will have a good game, but if the Jacksonville defense can get after the quarterback, I think that helps Patty's Twins both ways. Amon-Ra is really a guy that the Twins are putting a lot of eggs in that basket for, and I understand why. The guy is a young playmaker, but he seems a little nicked right now. I wouldn't mind seeing them get Michael Pittman Jr. back into their lineup, but I can understand why they don't want to go with 2 Thursday night wide receivers, so I get it. But in the end, Keenan Allen returns to the lineup. I really like that. I like Austin Eckler at Cleveland. I know their defense is pretty good, but Austin catches a lot of passes out of the backfield, and I always feel like that gives him a very safe floor. I got Patty's Twins in the squeaker getting this one. I think the Gaff's scoring falls from the 139 he scored last week, and he goes down to about 116 to Patty's Twins 124. I say that they get the win and improve to 2-3 on the season. And moving on to our next matchup, we go into the Alpha Conference for a game of huge consequence for the BGT as the Baby Gas team takes on Squad Underestimated. All right, man, so this is about gap out time for Squad. This is a very winnable matchup for Squad Underestimated coming into this one after 2 games that were considered coin flips for the Squad. They have been in the prestige matchup of the week the last couple of weeks. This week now, though, they get the BGT, Burrow and Murray, Elliott and Barkley. I mean, BGT has some talent on that bench. If they can get them in here, they can give Squad a run for their money. What do you think of this one? Underestimated BGT.
Yeah, this is my lock of the week. I've got Squad dominating in this performance. I mean...
Hey, Ulysses, I got to say something, man. Can I say it?
Yeah.
Your last couple of locks of the week have went the other way completely, bruh.
Hey, man. I mean, I just call them, man. I can't help it if they don't do it. I mean,
Nah,
I've been picking against
I
Trey
got
Fiddy.
you.
The guy got my good this week. You know, hey, I'll give it whenever I'm wrong, man.
Right.
You know, so hey, maybe this means squad's on upset alert. Then I'm sorry, man. But my lock of the week. I mean, I'm just looking at it the same way you are.
Okay.
I really feel like BGT's getting lost in name recognition and not the stat line.
Okay.
I mean, Joe Burrow's a great quarterback, but when you look at it, he's one of the most sacked. And again, this offense has seemed to turn.
Yeah.
They should have a day against Baltimore, but again, that could be a get right game for Baltimore too, just as easily.
Sure.
I'd be going Jared Goff right now. He's a top 5 quarterback. We've seen how explosive that Detroit offense can be.
Yeah.
And so I would just be a part of that right there.
Okay.
Again, right now, I'm going RB1, J.K. Dobbins, RB2, Josh Jacobs, flex, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, man.
Okay. True.
For me, that talent right there takes that lineup to the next level. Broncos D should shit. Why do you have the Steelers coaching, man? I've been saying about Mitch Trubisky.
Yes, you have.
We saw he just got benched. Again, I wouldn't go Pickens against Buffalo. Like, what's going on? I don't know if maybe we've gotten to the apathetic point of the season for BG.
Oh, not yet.
We see them get in the lineup. But that's what I'm saying. This is my lock of the week. I'm looking at the other side. I don't see anything I really don't like.
Okay.
At this point, other than right now, I think Kyle Pitts would be on the bench for Gerald Everett. I think that what we've seen from him and at that position, I just think that it's a better choice. I don't know about Buck's coach, but I'd probably just bench the coach. You've got enough here. I've got the squad winning easily.
Okay.
133 to BGT's 99.
All right, man. I agree with you. I got squad underestimated in this matchup. And honestly, I don't think this is even a fair representation of what the BGT's lineup's going to look like. You know, they tend to prepare a little later in the week, so this might not even be their final lineup. But whether it's their final lineup or not, I like squad underestimated for a couple of reasons. I was just talking about that Philly-Arizona matchup. I think Kyler has a pretty solid game at home. He's one thing he's got to get back to doing is running the football in the red zone. That's what made him one of the most unstoppable players. If he decides to run the ball in the red zone again like he was last year, he'll be really helping squad underestimated, and I think he can help deliver an upset on the Eagles because everybody's really pumping the pom-poms for them right now, and sometimes those teams need to be brought back to earth. Saquon Barkley is becoming the most used guy. Like, he was reminding me of 2016, 2017 Le'Veon Bell, where the touches are going to just be there, and no one else is going to interrupt those touches, barring an injury. So that's why Saquon's floor is so safe, and that's starting to look like the move of the offseason. Barkley was on 3 rosters this offseason, and it just really shows. You know, sometimes you got gold and you don't really realize it. So, I mean, the Saquon Barkley play, I feel like, is rock solid the entire year. Trey Fiddy could be on that. ATG could be on that. But squad's reaping the benefits. Man, I'm kind of nervous about Christian McCaffrey. He's starting to look like a Jag. Just another guy. And that's not what squad underestimated was expecting or hoping for to open the season. If that trend continues, that kind of brings squad underestimated down a little bit, but I don't think it impacts them this week. Tyreek Hill, target monster. He's another guy that bounced around. I'm looking at the Argonauts, and I'm looking at Trey Fiddy for letting that go off of their rosters. All around, if Alvin Kamara returns to the lineup, I really like squad even more. San Francisco's defense looked spectacular Monday night, and I expect that spectacularness to continue against weak-ass Baker Mayfield. Nothing on the BGT side really inspires me except the late plays of Josh Jacobs and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who are both on the bench right now. I got squad underestimated getting this one 129 to the BGT's 108. And moving on to our next matchup, we go back into Omega for a must-win for both teams as they are both coming off of losses. The Skulls 3 straight, ATG 2 straight. We got a big one in Omega as we got the Skulls taking on Appease the Gods. All right, man, so I just basically laid it out there. Both of these teams need to get right. We got Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. I mean, you can't ask for a better quarterback matchup than that. And then obviously we got two studs at receiver in Mike Evans and Jamar Chase, Waller and Andrews. There's some studs here. What do you think of this matchup, Skulls ATG?
Yeah, I really think that this one's going to deliver. I'm expecting a high-scoring affair on both sides. You mentioned it, top quarterback play in the league. I'm going to say it. I think that that this is a get-right week for ATG. I'm looking at the matchups he has. I think that this night game with Lamar, Cincy, I think that's just going to be fireworks. I think we've seen both defenses can be very exploitable. Different look on these AFC North squads.
Right.
And so I expect that to be a very high-scoring affair. Jeff Wilson's getting volume. Mike was looking vintage. I expect Devonta to bounce back. Devin Singletary, although the fumble, again, they're still running by committee, but if you start looking at his pass share, he's starting to be a bigger part of that.
Definitely.
And, I mean, again, ATG watches a lot of Chicago Bear football. He's seeing that they're not moving the ball offensively. They're struggling. I love the double play with Vikings D, Vikings coach.
Right.
And I look at the other side again. Rock solid. I'm not saying that any of this is a weakness.
Okay.
There's just a lot of inconsistency potential. You know, Aaron Jones in that offense. Anybody can boom or bust in Green Bay.
Yeah.
Detroit,
true.
Same thing. Jamar Chase and Burrow haven't really gotten to that form.
T. Higgins is eating, man.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Amari. I mean, I love what I'm seeing from Jacoby Brissett. I expect Amari to show out. Again, Ramondre Stevens, I like him in the lineup. I wouldn't be playing Ravens D, though. That's one that I'm looking at here. I expect Cincy to score. Ravens have not been able to contain anybody.
Okay.
I mean, they're a top. They can really boom, but again, I think Cincy's got enough weapons to make that challenging. Bills coach should block. So I expect this one to be highly competitive, but I've got ATG in a leave no doubt performance. 148 to the Skulls, 141.
Oh, wow, man. You got a high scoring. And you know what? I guess that's the trend because I got this one very high scoring as well, but I think I'm going the other way here. I love Josh Allen's matchup with the Steelers. We've been talking about how inept the Steelers have looked so far this season. Now, it hasn't been so much on their defense, but when your offense is giving up 3 and outs, giving up turnovers, it puts the other offense in great position. I expect Josh Allen to take a big advantage of that, and that is going to impact the Buffalo coach. So I love that double dip there. That Sunday night game is pretty much going to be where this game is decided. And it's crazy to say, but Jamar Chase has the potential, has the ability to actually outscore Lamar Jackson and Joe Mixon in that matchup if he goes dumb. So that possibility exists, and that's why I really like the Skulls in this matchup. You talked about Amari Cooper. We had sung his praises a few weeks ago. It seems like when we sing a guy's praises, he does not show up the next week. But I'm going to double down. I think Amari Cooper does okay against that Charger defense. Darren Waller as a cap for Monday night isn't a bad play. And me and you have sung this young brother's praise all year. Young Ramondre Stevenson. I would just love to see him as a featured back on that Patriot offense. What would it look like if he was to get the lion's share of the carries and of the catches? I really like Ramondre's talent. I'm with you on Baltimore's D. I would go Tampa Bay for sure against Atlanta. There's some sacks to be had in that matchup. Now on ATG side, Lamar's got to get back to what we saw the first 3 weeks, because what we saw in week 4 was not the guy we expected. That horrible end zone interception capped off a really, really slow week for Lamar. But I do like a bounce back against the Cincinnati team that Lamar has feasted on in years past. When I did say that Jamar could outscore Lamar and Joe Mixon, but I said could. I didn't say he would. I like Joe Mixon against Baltimore's defense. They're not looking all that great. And Jeff Wilson Jr., man, look, I can't wait for Elijah Mitchell to come back, because Jeff Wilson Jr., he breaks my heart just because it's like, be better. And I'm sure ATG thinks the same thing. He had a very costly fumble for ATG that cost him the week before. Last week, he just was not consistent enough. I thought he could have ran them back into that matchup. wasn't quite as spectacular as I expected. But the real thing that I feel like is going to determine ATG's success or failure is the Devonta Smith and Devin Singletary plays. That receiver 2 and flex spot needs to come through for ATG. I think the rest of the guys we can reliably depend on. And I'm always leery of a coach defense double up, just because there is room for error. And yeah, the Chicago Bears aren't great, but the Minnesota Vikings have shown some inconsistency also this year. I got the Skulls getting the win in this one, getting back on track. And I say it's a very high-scoring game. I got the Skulls going 145 to ATG's 138. And moving on to our last matchup in the Alpha Conference, we go into a matchup of playoff importance. These two teams have clashed in the Final Four the last 2 years. Both victories only for the Boss. However, the Argonauts have dominated the regular season series as they've beaten only for the Boss the last 6 times in the regular season. We've got only for the Boss, the Pantheon Cup champions, taking on the Argonauts, who bounced back with a huge 160-point week last week. All right, man, so obviously Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Chubb, Dalvin Cook, Devontae, Stephon Diggs, Debo, Justin Jefferson, T. Higgins. It's stars everywhere. This is probably the most loaded matchup of the season so far. What do you think of this one, man? We got only for the Boss, led by Patrick Mahomes on Monday night, taking on the Argonauts, led by Justin Jefferson, who will see those Chicago Bears. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it. Star power everywhere. This one really should deliver. But what it comes down to me is matchups, and I really like the matchups that Only for the Boss has.
Right.
Up and down his lineup. I mean, you look at Patrick Mahomes, Kelsey, Chiefs playing Vegas. I mean, everybody's had a field day.
Right.
I don't expect that to challenge. Chubb's really shown me that he's that primary back in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Miles Sanders came alive. Rashad Penny came alive. Stefan's the solid number 1. I mean, Gabe Davis has pretty much been non-existent.
Gabe Davis is, yeah.
I mean, you look at the Packers D. I mean, could be good, but I mean, he's playing Packers coach, so that's negligible. For me, though, I think that the Giants win that game. I mean, it's in London. Things can get weird. But you mentioned it, man. Saquon has been workhorse this season.
Right.
And I think that grinding approach could be the one thing that has consistently beat Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
Keeping him off the field.
Right. New England almost did it last week.
Saquon can do that, and the Giants are a new look Giants team.
Yeah.
And I look at the other side, man. I said it, man. Cleveland's defense does not play.
Okay.
Justin Herbert is coming off of an injury. I'm not sure that they don't get to Justin Herbert and maybe impact how much ceiling Justin Herbert has.
Okay.
I have the same concern with Najee playing Buffalo, man. That defense is looking good. Elsewhere, I mean, again, he's got good matchups. I just look at the other side, and I think that Only for the Boss has an easier path forward here than the Argos do. But I think Argos keep it close. I think that this projection is pretty close to what I have. I've got Only for the Boss not going as stellar as last week, but I think that they go 141 to the Argonauts 136.
Okay. And I'm inclined to agree with you, man. I'm going to go Only for the Boss in this matchup also, but not for the same reasons. I think Green Bay wins. I think that the Green Bay defense does well, and I think that cancels out the Argonauts coach, being that the Boss has the Green Bay D. I'm looking at Monday night, man. I mean, that's where the fireworks are really going to be. We got Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Chiefs coach all waiting in the wings on Monday night. If the Argonauts didn't have Devontae Adams, I would say that the Boss was going to probably run away with it on Monday night. But Adams at least will be there on the other side to give the Argonauts some points. I liked the two Vikings against the Bears. We talked about that matchup. I'm not so sure about Philly D on the Argonaut side. They are going to be on the road. They've been very opportunistic on defense, but Kyler Murray is not Trevor Lawrence. He's not going to put the ball on the ground as much. He's not going to be sacked quite as easily. So I'm not really feeling the D play on the Argonaut side. I'm loving. I mean, this offseason there was a Nick Chubb for Justin Jefferson trade. I mean, both owners can be happy with that trade, but right now Nick Chubb is making that trade look like a win only for the boss. Miles Sanders is running the football very, very well. That was a pick that I poo-pooed very, very early in the season, especially in the post-draft review. But Miles Sanders is making me eat a little crow, and while I don't like the taste of it, I will eat it proudly because the brother's doing his thing. Let's talk about Deebo Samuel against Carolina. Who's going to stop him? Who's going to cover Deebo? You got anybody? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know either. On the Argo side, I agree with you. Justin Herbert could be in for a tougher day against Cleveland than he had against Houston. They didn't even touch him against the Houston Texans. He had a great day. I do like the Tyler Higbee play, but in the end, with two money studs on Monday night to close out the matchup, anywhere the Argonauts look like they're strong, only for the boss has an adequate challenge. And I think that's why they get this matchup in a big, big win. I think this one goes a little lower than everyone expects. I got only for the boss getting this one 131 to the Argonauts 124. And moving on to our prestige matchup of the week, interconference warfare. This is the perfect kickoff to interconference warfare because the next 3 weeks we will be in that phase. But hey, this is a nice preview of those next 3 weeks. We've got Omegas 3-1, first place, United Playas, the Destroyers, taking on Alphas 3-1, first place. I need about Trey FIDDY. All right, man. So look, our goods are going against each other. My good for week 4 was United Players. Your good for week 4 was about Trey FIDDY. Trey FIDDY actually disrupted the league because let's just say it this way. If Trey FIDDY doesn't beat the Argo and the boss, what do you think is this week's prestige matchup of the week?
Oh, it's definitely only the boss Argo.
Right. So Trey FIDDY has...
I mean, they knocked that out, so I mean...
Definitely. They've been a disruptor, and I'm here for it. All right, man. So what do you think of this one? UP, Trey FIDDY.
I'll take my good over your good. I just think that these teams were made with different intentions, right?
Okay.
I mean, for me, this goes back to draft night. UP, half his picks were auto-picked, okay? Let's say that. We had some auto-pick controversy with Trey FIDDY, saying that the Leonard Fournette pick. Hey, man, whatever.
Well, auto-pick saved his ass then.
Hey, it worked because, Leonard Fournette did not get a lot done from the line of scrimmage. Still held it down. I mean, for me, this matchup just turns out to help. I mean, he's got a lot of guys that are questionable, but I think questionable leaning towards playing.
Right.
I think that Trevor Lawrence had a down week. Cure for that is going to be playing against Houston.
The Texans, yeah.
Leonard Fournette, I think, is really a check on Tom. And let's be honest, I'm not sure which Tom we're going to get here. There's a lot of rumors swirling about Tom's personal life. I don't think we've ever seen him have to play with
Ulysses,
like
be a gentleman, Ulysses.
I'm just saying, and normally his stuff ain't out here for everybody, so hopefully. But in New Jersey, Breece Hall's that feature back, man. I think that he's really going to be that guy.
Okay.
Jalen's shown that he can be consistent. Chris Godwin gets into that lineup. Again, a check on Tom Brady.
Okay.
So, I mean, again, UP can't really gap out really on Trey FIDDY with the quarterback position.
Okay.
David Njoku, man, I'm seeing a lot that the rapport he's getting with Brissett, man, he's really playing on point.
Yeah.
And then when I look at the intangibles here, this D quarterback combo, like, I don't like Cowboys against the Rams.
Okay. I agree with you.
The Rams, with how they got done last week,
expect them to look for a bounce back. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a little rah-rah. So I think both teams should find better options. I mean, Trey FIDDY doesn't have another defense, so we'll see if he goes out. I think the Jags are a good coach pick, though.
Okay.
I think that should go through. When I look at it the other side, again, I think you could find somebody way better than the Cowboys. But again, UP, man, I mean, again, there's no reason he can't, but Kareem Hunt's taking a back seat. Juju Smith-Schuster, again, it hadn't been there consistently.
Just a guy.
Mike Evans, he had a good week, but will it be there? No doubts about Cooper Kupp. And again, Chargers D, I've got Cleveland winning that game, and again, they've been taking care of the football. I think that he could go find a better option And again, I've just got Trey Fiddy making better plays up and down.
Okay.
This one to me just comes down to injury designations. But if the lineups stay as they are, guys are healthy.
Yeah.
I got Trey Fiddy going 124 to UP's 119.
All right. This is a tougher matchup to actually pick. I mean, both of these teams are 3-1. Both of these teams are sitting atop their conference. And I don't think we're really all that impressed with either team, even at this point in the season, despite their records. I'm looking at Trey Fiddy, and I mean, Trevor Lawrence went for -1. I mean, like I said, if BGT starts just anybody else, Trey Fiddy loses that matchup. And you did mention Leonard Fournette went for -3 yards rushing, but he caught like 8 passes and scored a touchdown. So, I mean, all of his work got done in the receiving game. So I could see where Tom and him, kind of would cancel each other out. But at the end of the day, Tom is getting his receivers back. These guys are getting healthy. We saw Mike Evans eat. United players were able to withstand that from the Appease the Gods and get the win. I'm really liking Derrick Henry's matchup, and I'm loving Cooper Kupp's matchup. The fact that he's got Brady, Henry, and Kupp as his top 3 guys just gives him such a safe floor that I really like him in this matchup. I'm looking at Kareem Hunt. Yes, it's been all about Nick Chubb, but I feel like the Chargers can lull the Browns into comeback mode. If they get into comeback mode, Chubb goes out, Hunt comes in, catches passes, does the passing down work that Chubb never really does. I'm with you on the defenses. But I mean, at the end of the day, I gotta give Trey 50 this. Dallas isn't a bad play just based on the fact that the Rams have looked, invincible on offense. I mean, they looked, against the Bills, they didn't look great. Against the Niners, they didn't look great. Their 2 best games, I believe, were against like the Cardinals and the Falcons. So they haven't shown anything great against competent defenses. So I can see where Trey Fiddy's going there. But on the other side, UP's got Dallas coach. So it's just going to be a very, very interesting matchup to observe. That's why it's the prestige matchup of the week. Hats off to Trey Fiddy for the disruptor title that I'm giving him for this week. I don't think he disrupts in this matchup, though. I think the United players continue to be spoiler sport, as you said they would be at the beginning of the season. And this time they spoil the new guys week. I got the United players getting a big win, pushing themselves out front before the start of interconference warfare, as they're already 3-1 in the Omega Conference, sitting in first place. I got the UP getting this win 127 to Trey Fiddy's 113. Alrighty, PPLers, thanks for another great week of PPL Live. Please please continue to comment. I love the comments. And subscribe to the channel if you have not. I'm enjoying this season already. I hope everyone else is. Strap in for some good football. We got a great slate of games this week. We start with Colts and Broncos, going on to Lamar and ATG against Burrow and the BGT on Sunday night. And then Monday night closes out with Only for the Boss trying to put the dagger in the Argonauts, who will be defended by Devontae Adams on the Raiders side. You guys have a great weekend. Enjoy, be safe, and may the odds be ever in your favor.